Hello and welcome to this session of the Project Virtual Conference 2018. Today we have Jacques Goupil with us, and he is going to be presenting on Agile projects, Scrum, Kanban, Waterfall, and Hybrid. Before we get started, I just want to let the attendees know that you can use the chat option at the bottom of your screen to chat and ask any questions. Without further ado, handing it over to Jacques.
Well, excellent. Thank you, Cindy and team, for all the great work, first of all, getting this together. We're very proud to be back again another year here with the Project Virtual Conference. So welcome, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where we have the pleasure in speaking with you today. We know this is a global conference, so it might be early for some, and it definitely is late for some others across the seas. We'll be joining you from Boston today. It's a beautiful day out here, and we're excited to be selected not only as a presenter and a gold sponsor of the Project Virtual Conference. We are also involved with the project team and probably heard some of you on a webcast that we just did for the Microsoft official webcast series for Microsoft Project. Make sure you stick around on the webcast, especially at the end. There'll be some to-dos for you, some quick guides, as well as some toolkits that you can get all in around Project Agile. Well, we hope that you join us for other sessions that we have, and we're going to get into this. So first of all, again, we are really super excited about being a gold partner and really supporting. This is really where we take off our badge and put it at the table. There are several sessions out here, so we highly encourage you not only to attend in person so you can ask those questions and really see and feel the excitement of the session, but also revisit these. They're all going to be posted. I think the first question that people ask, and I can see some up in the chat board, is going to be all in around, is this going to be recorded? And yes, this is being recorded, so you can definitely have that recording. And if you need to get further information, just go ahead and reach out to us, and we can go ahead and do that. And Sydney, I just want to double check before I get started that audio is coming in crystal clear.
Yes, you sound great.
Excellent. Beautiful. So as far as the recordings or the slides, you can definitely reach out to us, but it's all going to be up there. Here's the badges at the side of the door. There are many great sponsors out here. Here are a few that have stepped up, like PPM Works, to offer their sponsorship and their support. So being experts in the field, we were tapped on the shoulder quite a few times for you folks today. So today we're starting with Agile projects. We're going to be jumping into that just momentarily. But then work management, what does that mean? And how do you understand the broader picture of getting your work done, letting it flow? So there's been a very steady stream on how do we get things in. I know the AI boom's there, but even before we get to the AI and start analyzing the data, how can we make simple modifications and simple changes to make things flow and automate? And then lastly, our buddy Scott's going to be jumping on. He's a wizard with reporting and everything to do with KPIs. So if you can join at 8 a.m. or 8 p.m., sorry, Eastern time, or 5 p.m. on Pacific coast of the United States, go ahead and jump in and get those sessions. So what are we going to cover today? Well, we want to get in to understand the Project Agile features of the tool, and this will be a tool demonstration. But we also wanted to understand what is ALM, or the development ops piece of this. So where does it play in part? Now, there might be some folks on the call that are strictly in the DevOps area. I mean, they're managing developers, they're managing code, whatever it happens to be. And then you might have some others that are the typical project manager that's managing a waterfall technology or mindset. Well, how can we do both? And are there capabilities within the tool to do both? So we are going to talk about that. We're also going to discover some of the new features that rolled out maybe 6 or 7 days ago. So we're just about June 1st, I believe, is what the rollout date was. So if you haven't seen some of these different changes, they feel and look the same within Agile for project. There are some differences, and I'd like to point those out. Throughout the entire session, you can go up into the chat page and go ahead and field any questions that are out there, and we'll be happy to figure those out. Again, info@ppmworks to get any information that you have. So who is the gentleman talking to you? My name is Jacques Goupil. Thank you, Cindy, for introducing me. We've been around for a long time. We've had a great run and some awards through Microsoft as well as the other community industries there. We really pride ourselves on helping our clients and helping folks understand what to do on a day-to-day basis, but also back up and ask the question at a bigger picture. So how are you managing your resources? How does utilization of your organization affect profitability? Do you trick risks issues? All of that is going to be seen as well, whether it's an agile project or our typical waterfall project. I'd love to get linked in with people. Go ahead and send me a request. If you have any topics or questions, go ahead and reach out to us. We typically answer those, sort of free consulting out there, and we're happy to help. Now, there are going to be PDUs that are going to be available for this session, so you can get it through the organization. We are also registered, so any of our sessions, if you need to, and you want, just send us a quick quick email at info@ppmworks, and we'll be sure to get you registered for all 4 of those. Well, I wouldn't be a good PM unless we started scheduling tasks out to people. So here's our first. Make sure if you want the Agile Toolkit, which we're going to be talking to and showing, reach out to us there. Again, connect to me. And if you want those PDUs, go ahead. And then there's all these great sponsor pages. Ours is under the virtual conference there with PPM Works, and there's some goodies out there. And if you'd like to enter to win $50 gift certificate or some free consulting, Heather's going to be monitoring that board. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, a little bit about us. We do everything, and we really enjoy that. We're more of a shop that comes in and understands you and then figures out what we need to do. We're also going to push back. Maybe a tool's not the right spot to start with. Maybe it's about process. Well, we can answer all the questions about us, but let's go ahead and get started into the session. So for those folks that are joining that are sort of new to the project online area and new to PPM, these next 2 slides are for you. For those that have been rolling up their sleeves and been involved in quite some time, just a little reiteration here. But what we're trying to do is the overall life cycle of our project. And we already mentioned that application life cycle as well. So starting with an idea, which is the definition of application lifecycle management, and fostering it through governance. Okay, and there's the key there, governing through a PMO or a project manager there, planning all the way through the outcome, circling back on our outcome to make sure that we do have the right KPIs and we are getting the value and the benefit from this. Now, Microsoft's done a fantastic job moving everything to the cloud. Okay, so at first glance, you can do everything and it feels in a very intuitive area for your organization to go in there. Now we take that and transition it into the key tenets of Project Online. So whether you're managing a project and really into the weeds, or you're just trying to figure out project requests or idea capture, we need to get everything under one system. So I like to throw my hands up in the air and use that as a funnel. Give me all the projects. Let my head be the one that's selecting, the head being the governance or our PMO. Now we're going to go off and execute. Today, we're going to talk about 2 different areas. One, the developers and where they're going to be doing. And our session later talks about implementing and integrating from Planner and also Jira and some other tools that are out there, or our friends with Visual Studio. Collaboration all the way into other pieces of the tool. So that's really the functional layout that we're going to be talking to. The last slide for those newcomers is really the Project Online benefits. Now, we're going to be showing Project Online today. It's pretty much the same as Project Server, except it's web-based. The second bullet is Project Online only, okay, for some of these. So when we have our great heat maps with capacity, or those blue areas that you can see in there, Agile project, that is only available with Project Professional that we have out there, and we'll show you that too. Now, this is the second time I'm mentioning Planner. Planner is a lightweight project management tool that's offered that a lot of organizations have grabbed onto really quickly. There's that Kanban board feel, and you can drag and drop and do things. It's very lightweight, as you heard me saying. So in today's second session, I'll actually show you how you integrate some of those. And then Scott's going to be talking about KPIs and actually a lot of KPIs through project, but also Power BI. Evergreen is the key. Why do I mention it? It's with a chuckle on my face, as you can see, because just last week we logged in and some of these agile tools that we're going to be showing you today were modified. They changed a little bit. Well, those notifications do come to the administrators, and there is a release cycle that's there. So if you go there, your admins will see that it was, and the announcement that was made, an easier Scrum release. One of the first releases, people said it was a little tough to find areas, and that's rare. So when we do a normal demonstration and we talk about the usage of Microsoft Project and Project Online, these are the three key areas that we talk about. So today I highlighted some of these. The ones in yellow is what we're going to focus in on. And our topic du jour today is really the Agile and Waterfall and hybrid. And that's what we're going to get on. But we're also going to touch upon the cross-project dependencies for visibility that are out there, as well as the overall portfolio view. All right, big picture kind of guy. So about 15 or so, 10 minutes in here, I wanted to first start with why should you even be thinking about this? Now, some of you are going to come to the table and say, well, it's because we're being asked to do Agile projects. I'm not sure what that really means, but I know that. Others are going to say, guys, we got this down pat. We've been doing Agile projects for quite some time. I just want to be able to see how we can do an Agile project within the confines of what I used to think was a waterfall project management system. So we're going to check those two boxes. And then lastly are those folks that are over in the ALM space, and they're managing the projects, and they might be managing with an outside tool, and we can bring those in. I like to pull it up and really all the way up top to say, how many times have we managed projects? And as we're managing those projects, we're managing them maybe even a waterfall or a WAGile, meaning waterfall and agile put together, but it's been very difficult in a tool set to do that. Well, in this case, when we show you some of the agile features, you might be able to run home today or even at work and start using and implementing some of these. But the big challenge is really, how do we do all this in an iterative cycle when things are constantly changing? Our demands are being called. Resource management or resource needs are being changed. So how do we see all that? And how can I see things that are in an iterative approach that has resources on it? How can I see that across my resource utilization? And that's where we're going to start today. So I do want to pull back and say, for the ALM discussion, fairly quickly, that's our folks that have joined that are actually using a system today. And how does Microsoft fit in this? Well, it's a real collection of tools that's out there. So some of these may resonate with you. You might say, yeah, I'm doing Visual Team Studios or TFS, and I'm currently using that today. Well, what are these tools really powerful for? Well, from testing to automated testing to really that use case building, or what we call stories, okay, and storyboards. That's where our Azure, and folks that are, really taking advantage of these other tools out there are on the cusp. And today we're going to bring you into the Agile word for project. So whether you're currently using these tools or you have other organizations that are using these tools, just remember that now we can start pulling these people in to your projects. So going from those used to be those barriers of entry is really what one area is software development. So in enterprises or business alike, we have these cross-functional barriers that you talk your talk in your tasks over in one area, and project managers would manage over here, and then you're constantly on that phone with project managers, and they're saying, "Hey, what's the status of this? Is this done yet?" Well, now we can provide that visibility across the board, and we're going to show you some of those agile tools. Now, for those enterprise solutions, and we talk about governance of our agile methodology, there's one slide that I like to share, and it's my buddy that shared this with me from Microsoft, and I really like this slide because it helps out understand, from a mindset, not only project for our Agile folks, but also for our project and where we fit in. Now, I like this, and if you want to use this or use a modification of this, I welcome it, and just reach out to us. So first, we got our project managers that are out there, and they're looking at a portfolio of projects or maybe individual projects. And how does Agile start to come in? Well, our BAs or our IIL folks out there are thinking user stories. And as they're developing those user stories, they also need to get the information from the project and the portfolio and blend that information in. And now we go from the user stories into what I've already mentioned, we call storyboards. And while we're doing these different storyboards and we have our different tasks that are going to create from here, we need an area to start capturing these. So whether we're capturing those in those other systems or not, we're going to have a time where we need to go off and test. So the storyboards have happened, our use cases have been, we've already have our task, and we start to do our testing. This is where the automation comes in here, and we say, okay, developers that are out there in your world, you're going to get your source code that's going to be out there. It's going to match one-to-one, tick and tie to a task. Those tasks are going to point back, and we're all going to wrap this in, okay? And we're going to do our quality gates. So we really lock it down and say, okay, this is where the QA is coming, and our QA teams are going to get in there to do different analysis. So, if the code needs to be changed, okay, we do that. Our leaders that are running all these developers over there, they're going to swoop in and say, okay, not only do we need to do that, but I need to provide a dashboard to the organization. So we need to see the source code, where it is, what's done, what's been locked, okay? Our leaders are going to be driving that. Our business project side managers want to see access to all that. So they need to get in it there and see that. Because right now, everything's happening over in this, bits and bytes area for source control. And now we take that off, and our DevOps folks are then going to walk it through our normal creation. So we go from our build all the way through to our development, and we get that cycle down. So how does this all tie in? Well, it's coming back now through the QA when we start executing our tests. So we're going to go out, grab those test cases, run through the test case, and then finally we get into right? Our bugs. And this is perfect because now we have some other work to be done, and it might filter back through to the project as well. So the project manager might have to pull in a business analyst. They might have to pull in some other folks to make some decisions on, hey, the bug just needs to simply be recoded, okay? Or no, this is a much bigger question, and now we need to revise our use case story, and we're going back to do our storyboards and create those tasks, and now you're filtering all the way back. I just thought this was the darndest thing because this, for me, encapsulated what today's discussion is all about and how do we bring in our Agile area and take off our project manager hat for Agile, right? And really involve every piece of the system. When I say the system, it's our PPM system and the roles, and we just identified 6 here. So on the phone right now, you should be able to take a look and say, oh, I sort of fall into one of these these personas, and I can start to see how the tool is going to help us in the long term. All right, so Agile in Microsoft, and you've heard this a couple times. This is not the first release that we've done, but we're on the heels of a new release, like I said, just a few days old. Now, the initial announcement happened back when, and this is really when project managers can use, simple visual task boards. And again, the Agile that came out was really to attach and follow 2 different methodology. One would be the Scrum approach or the Kanban, and the other is going to be our normal Waterfall. So back home, if you go to File, New, and you start to create, if you have Scrum, Kanban, and Waterfall, you're actually on an older release of Project Online Professional. For those that go on there and they just see something called sprints now and work and Waterfall. You, my friends, are on the new release. Again, that's just been a couple days old. So this is an area for you to visually understand your project and task using the different views, the Agile style views that are out there, and the Kanban-like workflow. So to track ongoing status and limit that work really in the in-progress work. So we're going to talk about buckets and figuring those out. And then you can go on to pick and choose your different work style. So whatever's more appropriate to you is what we're going to be doing. All of this really is going to be under the guise of for the PMO. So the PMO can centrally manage all types of projects without, saying and imposing, this is the governance body, this is what we're doing. Well, they're going to be doing that just through the type of project that we select. So the governance and visibility is going to be there all through the PMO process. Now, while we gain the visibility across all those projects, individuals, remember those different personas that were all over there? They can work and have their work style and it can be managed however they want to across the organization. All of this is going to report up Agile style and Waterfall together. Now our new project is going to come in, and this is really where it's built for the team. If you already are using Project Online, this is where your team can go in here and simply say, yes, now we can have the functionality to create an Agile project. And I'm going to show you a couple different capabilities of doing that. Now all of this is integrated with Office 365. So you might say, great, now I'm going to see project today. But remember, everything else that comes there, whether it's OneNote that you're using to capture project notes, whether it's the SharePoint governance for document approvals and recognition through emails, even things that are just time savers. Who is working on what when, meaning the document side of it. And there's that tool called Delve, D-E-L-V, that's out there that we use on every day. And I would be remiss to not mention one of my favorites, which is Teams. The Teams is that collaborative area where we get all that information and can put it into one area itself. Now here is just a screenshot for those that were getting in to take a look at project. And when we get Agile capabilities, you'll have some different views. You'll be able to see the sprint board. You'll be able to see Kanban, okay, and our backlogs in this case. You'll also be getting some of those reports that are out of the box, both with Microsoft Project as well as Project Online. So all of these, again, we're setting ourselves up to where we're going to get. Now, Microsoft Project has long supported Waterfall project management. And as we mentioned, back in October of 2017 is really when they entered the first pass of Agile. So it gives us, as a project manager, greater flexibility to manage these projects and do some different things. So again, it's not new as far as 2017 in October, but the new functionality is just sort of changing some of the, how do I find these things and where are they located within our project? Okay, so now I'm going to go in here and we're going to go ahead and share my screen here. And we're going to get into our tool set. And I just wanted to confirm with Cindy, if you can go ahead and just confirm you're able to see Microsoft Project now.
Yes, I can see what you're doing.
Excellent. Thanks very much. All right, folks. So the first things first, we're going to get into project itself and take a look at what we have out of the box, meaning templates that are out there within the organization. And you can see right now, this is the 6 days old or however it's been change. So if you log on and you see something that says Kanban here, and right next to it, it has another icon, and then we have our waterfall. So we have those three: Scrum, Kanban, and Waterfall. This is actually a little different. Now we're going to get there, and I'll show you the difference with everything that we're going to get to in just a second that we're getting in there. So if we are in the tool set, and a lot of folks like to start somewhere else, meaning from Project Online. And we talked about application lifecycle management. So I did want to sort of bring that up, and then we're going to bounce into that, create my project here. But this is the new feature here that's been around for a bit, but you can actually create this. So as I go ahead and create a new project, you're going to see that I can actually go in here and all of mine are right here that I get to create. Now, if you have your Kanban or your Waterfall and your different Agile, you can actually have a template that's created right from here. And as I go off and create this, what we've done is we've actually called this our development project, and that's has those Agile features in it. So as I go on here and click here, and I go off to my project, we're going to start to see this grow, and I can enter all my information. Now, rather than entering in all my information today, I'm not going to do that. So we'll walk through. You can see that in some of the other sessions that are out there. How do you create projects and how do you get started and how do you do all that? But today, I'm going to get into everything with Agile. So where does that leave us? When I'm looking at a project center and I want to see all of my projects, I actually can separate these by our Agile and Waterfall, and I can also separate by project and project managers. And in this case, I can look and see just some KPIs across our project. Now, this is huge. So as an owner or an executive, I can start to see KPIs across every single project. And I'm going to note just a couple. We have our Agile projects right here. My e-commerce rollout happens to be a Kanban project. I have some others that are in here that I scroll down. Now I can have a view right here that's set up that I actually see the status, the type of the project, and I can see Kanban versus Waterfall and all that, just simply sorted within here. But all of these blended projects are very nice to be able to see in one particular area. So now that we're taking a look at everything, I'm going to back up to where I just was, which is our Agile area for creating within Microsoft Project Professional. Now in here, I've already created a project, and I've gone through here and put in some fields, and we can start to see this. For those that are new, I would go back to my new, and I'd create this sprint projects. What this sprint project is going to do is it creates a brand new project and it drops us off into one of our areas. Now up here, you're going to start to see that the sprint tool, this is a dynamic ribbon, okay, in this case, and it brings up our task board that we're seeing here and seeing all the different capabilities within here. Now, some of you might notice that there is a icon that is missing, and that icon is the manage here is a little different. It used to be called settings, and when I click on here, I was able to switch from Kanban, Scrum, but now everything is Agile, and it's called sprints. So in this case, I could go in here and I can actually change this and log in here and change my sprint. Some folks might want to do 4 or 5. You can do elapsed weeks or regular weeks. And as I go in here, I can actually name and change these. And I can also add in my different sprint cycles. When I add in my different sprint cycles, I'm actually going to see these buckets here that are within this current view that happens to be. I also can go through and just start keying in. Now I know this is going to be a little remedial, but we can go and say review design, and I start adding these all in. Right from here, I can go ahead and add information. I can add my resources. I can actually go back and add in all my information just like you did with a normal waterfall task. And just note that this is ticked and tied, if you will, right into the project, okay? The difference here is going to be one of my fields that I have in here, which is going to be my Agile field. Now, the task itself, or the field itself, Agile, has gone away over the last week or so. But the show on board is the piece that you're going to take a look at as well. Everything else looks and feels just like a task, just like you had before. So I could go in here and start creating a bunch of things and showing this. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and grab some data. And we're going to go ahead to one that's already created here. And this is a typical software development plan that we have. So you can see that we have software development, and this is really a typical place where we're going to use Agile. We're going to have iterative approaches. They're going to be, banging on this and doing a lot of different tasks, and it may or may not be waterfall. So we may have our requirements, that all might be there. So I can go in here and just really quickly simply grab these and bring them over into my area of my project. And as I come down here, I can just come down here, pop them in, and I'm going to go ahead and paste them all in. And here are my new tasks that I have. Okay. Now, one thing that I'm going to see here is I have everything in a Gantt chart view. And I can see that up here that it's a Gantt chart. But as I go forward to my other areas, I'm going to go ahead and I can see that some of these are not, I don't know why these up there are not actually going to be on my board. So right here, I can see show on board. This is the way that we can see things in that task board right over here that I showed you. So if I go over here, I may or may not be able to see some of these. So in this case, let me just show you a quick little trick. I can go up here and I can click into the first and I can switch this to yes. I'm going to click into the board. I'm going to use my shift control and I'm actually going to use my down arrow. Okay. And what that's going to, whoops, there we are. So what that does is it goes down and selects all of my tasks. And then what I can do is rather than switching all these together, I can click on here and say fill row. So I'm going to do that and show you that again so everybody can see it together. And you know what? I'm going to actually select from here. I'm going to leave requirements as waterfall. And I'm going to select, go down here, select everything, and do my fill down button here. So again, just an easier way to go forward. And if I did that properly, I would have selected yes, and then I would have done my fill down, and there we go. Everything's yes. So now that I have done that over here, I can actually start to see those tasks over here in my task board. And voila, here they all are. So those tasks that I just created, you can see that I have not only the task name, I have my resources on here, and I can actually drag in here as my backlog to my next step. I can just drag these. So this is a great way to just very quickly start doing some of these. Now I like this new feature up here. Can you see this? And some of you might say, ooh, that's new, and it is. So I can actually come in here and say, well, this is 25% done. Now what does this actually do? Well, what we heard from Microsoft, and Microsoft heard this, was that we wanted a way to be able to percent a block, meaning in this case, we have our typical backlogs and our other buckets, columns here, but also within our sprints that we see. So again, just at a high level, we wanted to say, so then we can actually report on this and take it across. So in typical waterfall fashion, you may say, well, this is a summary task, okay? Well, notice we're not seeing the summary tasks here. We're just seeing our buckets. And as you take a look at our different task board or our task sheet in this case, is we're seeing all of these now through our logic of our sprints, etc. And this is where I like to go when we're going and saying, well, I just want to go ahead and manage these sprints. So how many of you folks get in a t-shirt sizing contest, with a client or folks, and you say, okay, how big is this, and how long is this going to take? What sprint it's going to be in? So you can very quickly add that information in, your t-shirt size or however you're doing that, or even putting in your different work in this view. We've found that it's very quick and very easy to go forward and say, okay, we might have a bunch of things in sprint 1 and sprint 2. Well, maybe they get pushed, right? We finished sprint 1, so these other two, they now need to change over to sprint 2. And I can change it just in this view. And then when I go back to take a look at my other views here, and we take a look at my sprint board, okay? So now I'm just looking at the sprints that are happening in today. Now, what's current sprint and current sprint sheet? These are literally within my timeline, okay? So make sure when we go to our sprint boards, sprint 1 and sprint 2, that we have the date set. So what do I mean by that? When you take a look at your sprints, and we went back originally, and we started creating those sprints. You can see that our sprints here are starting really early, set 2017. So if I go to my sprints and I go into current sprint, literally we're talking all the way down here with sprint, who knows, sprint 42 in this case. So just make sure that you have your current time set, or these two boards are going to be blank. And you can also go through here, which is new, is this new non-sprint. So this is going to show you all those views, okay, as you can see right here, that aren't in any sprint. And that's okay. You don't have to be in a sprint in this case if you're managing in just this Wagile way, which is a blend of Waterfall and Agile. Now, if you're rigorous and you're doing Agile, whether you're doing Kanban here with the backlog, or you're doing your Scrum methodology, that is where you're going to want to pick and choose, whether you're using your sprints or in this case, using your backlog and etc. What I've also get a big chuckle out is here is when you create this, is it really done? I typically find when we're coming in here is we're going through, and although they've checked this and said it was 100% complete or done here, I can actually come in here and look at my project task itself, and it isn't done. Okay, there's still things to be finished on here. So I joke, and all kidding aside, I typically have a done state and then maybe a reviewed or a done state, and then you can move things into that completed phase, whatever it happens to be. So what you're seeing here is the Project Agile functionality of getting these tasks and being able to drag and drop things, and also creating in here. Now, why did I mention that things are different and you can start to use either your Agile capabilities or not? For those that want to do hybrid, let's listen up here. If I go in here and I just create a normal project, as you can see, and actually let's go back to my software development project. If I go to my software development project, you're going to notice that I don't see that sprints. And you're going to say, hey, I just sat on a cool web and I got the project Agile, and I'm able to create some Agile tasks and be able to drag and drop and do all that great stuff and manage within an Agile iterative cycle. But I don't see my sprints. Well, that's the case because this project itself, when you went off and actually created here and did our new, it was actually created before this Agile separation, or the sprints project now was created, and they're all set as a waterfall. So what we recommend to do, and you can actually, I'll show you how to do this, is to create an Agile tab here. You can also go ahead and customize your quick access toolbar to add in all of your ribbons here. Okay, so now what I can do is quite quickly, I can just go in here and say, okay, I want to manage my sprints, right from this view. So we are in a waterfall project, but I can actually go and take a look at just my task board. And I'm going to pause here because a lot of folks, when we're, again, working with our clients over the last 6 or 8 days here, they're going to see something that says this: the task board can only be combined with a timeline view. And that's correct. So right now I happen to be looking at a report up here. Well, if I go ahead and get rid of this, and I'm in my Gantt chart, now if I go ahead and look at the task board, I can go ahead and see that. So I wanted to make sure that everybody saw that pop-up that happened, because if you're in between your waterfall and using your Agile technology here, meaning hybrid projects, okay, you're going to need to notice, hey, you just need to be in the right view. But here you go. You have all of our Agile just like we had before. So if we go off to that planning sprint board and we want to take a look at our sprint sheet, this is where we can go off and change all of we have our status board. Has it been started? Is it in progress? Now, when I notice, if I actually are in changing this in a meeting, I'm saying, okay, these are next up, this is going down, it's very easy to go in here and do all of this, which is great. But if I go back to my task board, now that I do that, notice what happens. Things start to move. So whether you do it in the linear tabular form, which a lot of our folks, project management heads, like in our organization, or you come in here and you're doing this drag and drop feature. You definitely can do it. Now, I have had some questions with, can you do some multiple selects in here? I haven't found an easy way to do that quite personally in this view. Now, obviously, if you're in our sheet board, you can go ahead and multi-select. And I just showed you that at the earliest, is you can take this and drag this down. Okay, so we can go in and just do like your Excel, drag and drop. Or like I showed you, you can take all this, right-click, and do your fill down, which will also fill everything. So dragging and dropping multiples in our boards, again, right now, that's going to be on the request for approval. With that being said, like all good managers, I wanted to alert you to this little icon up here, which is Help Microsoft Improve. You can provide feedback to this, whether it's through here or through user voice. Go ahead and submit that. When you're using your Agile tools today or later on, and you find something, go ahead and submit it, and folks like us will be able to vote on it. So that's the trick of creating a project, and you can see that I have here. But what if we want to go off and create a new project here in Agile? What I thought was helpful is I put this little new sprint button here, and if I go ahead and create that, it will actually create a new project just like we did at the top of the hour, and we're off and creating. So you can see this is project 9. We've gone off and created it. It's because I created a sprint project, I now have this sprints, and I can see everything that's within here. So you have your hybrid, you have our Agile projects that are going to be here, and we're be able to manage the difference between those two. Now, for those that are saying, okay, well, let's go back, and I wanted to address the Agile and also our other Kanban. So if you take a look at our Kanban approach, I'm just going to pull up a Kanban view here. And if we go into this is a Kanban project that we have created here. And you can see a bunch of tasks here. Well, where am I right now? I happen to be looking at our Gantt chart. Well, that's not really what I want to be looking at. So I'm going to switch off into my planning. And if I go off to my planning view, it's now taking a look at my different sprints. Nicely organized. All my sprints are here. And what we've done is we've created a Kanban template that actually puts things in different sprints to help you facilitate that, but also the types and tasks within there. A lot of people get confused or start to drop off, and they're saying, well, how do I really manage this? I get it that I can drag and drop, but is there a rigor? And there is, to some extent, to follow the Agile methodology. But folks, quite frankly, if you're managing a project and you want to be able to drag and drop certain project tasks, and you also want to be able to manage in a life cycle of a project, then I highly recommend that you go off and you create this. You're still going to leverage and use your Gantt chart for task management and views, and you're going to be able to status that way. Now, I mentioned status because when you come in here and you actually manage, whether you manage through a Gantt chart view, and this will still have our view over here. And if I go into our normal task and I go to scroll to task, I can actually start to see all this information. Well, why aren't these showing up? Well, these tasks here, if I put them in as task and schedule them here, then I'd be able to come in and take a look at my views that I see. Reports are big. Reports are key. So let's go off and take a look here. I have a few different Agile that are here. So we have all of our different reports that are in here, and I just want to go in and take a look and show you a couple different ones. Well, first is going to be in our dashboards. So if you come in here, we have our burn down, and now this one's going to be pretty blank because we just created it. So I'm going to go off and switch over to a project that we have that's already in progress. And if I go off to my report, I go back to my burn down, you can start to see that information that's being here. So in this case, it's the creation of the burn down report. Well, you might not like that, or you might want to create this as it's going to be a status report. You can literally just key right in here, update what you need within our report, You can change anything in here. You also, since it's an out-of-the-box report, you can go in here and create your statuses and add in whatever you'd like. So all of our fields that light up on the right-hand side, you can go in and grab those information. Now, I did mention a couple of fields that we tend to pull in, which is the statusing, but also the t-shirt size. So in this case, I could go off and create a t-shirt size report and sort and group by size of development effort in this case, or task that we have. Now, if I also go into my different visual reports, but I'm going to go off here and go to more reports and show you just the others that are out there. So if you can see that we have not only our cost and our resources that are in here, but also we have all of these task boards that are coming through. They are come up as reports. So I wanted to mention that to you, because if you're looking them in for our different views, yes, they're out there, but that current sprint board or our work status board that's here, I'm going to go ahead and select that and show you. What it's doing is it's taking all that information and pulling it into pre-canned reports for you. So you can see that we have our status log here. We have our done, that funny one that I did, which was done, okay? You can do all that. Same thing with our t-shirt sizing, okay? We could drop that in and filter and group by all this. Now these are great reports, and as I click in here, I can see information and I can update this in real time. So all I need to do is manage these projects and I can get my reports here. Now, two things we hear all the time. How do I get this information out into Microsoft PowerPoint? And can I do and send this anywhere? Well, you can go ahead and copy these reports and send those out. And you also can send this out, okay, by printing this. So under our file, print options, okay, this is where you can go through and you can actually push this out. What we hear a lot of folks are doing is they're pushing this out to PDF, etc., and they're saving it. And you also can screenshot this and put it into PowerPoint. Now, if that doesn't excite you, you can also get all of your information. Now, if we save and we publish all this information, I could see that I do have some status and actual work, and I also have some assignments being resources. Well, if that's the case, and you want to use something that's like Power BI, when I go over to Microsoft Power BI, you're going to have some reports that are there that are going to pull all of that information that I just created, that I just published, okay, into our project portfolio view. So let's go and check some of those out. If I go into my portfolio, here's where now I can see all of that information, and I could scroll down to my Agile projects that I just mentioned to you. Oops, there it goes. And I can see that I have some of my Agile projects that I just uploaded into here. So we have that one consistent view, whether it's Waterfall or Agile, across the organization to be able to see. Now, why did I come over here? The reason I came over here is I like Power BI because as I click on here and I see my workflow and I see that Agile product development projects, is here I can really quickly easy group and sort just by clicking on here. Now, again, this is all Project Online. We're leveraging right now the toolkit that we have here and the Power BI content pack that's there. Now, I know we have some questions here, so I just wanted to field some of those, and then I'm going to jump back into some of the other reports that are there. So is your organization doing Agile methods in any way? I like what you said about blended Waterfall and Agile in the same view and project. So absolutely, we are doing Agile projects. We actually do, most of ours are hybrid though, I have to say, meaning we do have some Waterfall projects that we're doing, requirements. Actually, some of our requirement sessions are actually in a more agile, iterative approach. When we do custom development or we're doing launch and we implement Project Online, a lot of our requirement sessions now are done in an iterative approach. So those tasks within our projects and for our clients are actually agile projects or agile tasks. So we're using that in that same feature. So what does that mean? I say that because when we're over in here within our project, let's just pull this project open, and I'm going to go back to my Gantt chart view. When we actually go in here and start to take a look at some of these projects and we're managing these, we'll have our iterative reviews. So here's a review of preliminary specifications. We actually pull up our site, we're working with that, we're creating these. And so that, although it's a day, that's going to be a cycle within itself. It's going to be perpetual. We'll close that out, we'll create a new Agile task, and we'll manage it in that. So very good question there. It says FYI. Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, that quiet hours feature, I've tried that a bunch of different times within here. And I see I have my quiet hours on, but for some reason, it still kind of bounces up. So thank you for that as well. Can we have this feature if we have MS Project Server on our on-premise? I think you're saying yes, if you have project server. So the answer actually, unfortunately, is no. So for Agile technology, for you able to see the sprints and be able to do our file new and get into our sprint, it needs to be project professional, which is a project online SKU. So the real terminology is called project online or project online professional is the term. So good questions coming through. And keep those coming and we'll answer some more. And I see another one about our templates. Yeah, so templates are good. And I mentioned the Kanban template. So whether you have it up here and I could create it as a featured template as well. If I go into our enterprise, you actually can come in here and see my Agile template for Kanban. So I can go off and create that Agile template. And what that's going to do when I create a new project, it's going to set this all up for me. So there it is. I have my sprint area, so all that's created. If I go into my Gantt chart, I'm going to have a sample of everything that's already in there. I might have tasks, either it's named or I have my generic resources that are in there, as well as all of my reports that we showed that are in there. It's a great question. Yes, if you have your templates, you can go off and create those, whether they're Agile or not. So how do you check, and I see that question, thank you too, on what I have. So if you go under the backstage, that again is under File, you go off to Account, and then right in here are About. So you can see that right through here. You can see, go ahead and click About, and you can see exactly what you are. So this is my MS project. And for those that are still seeing Kanban and Scrum, it's probably because you're on a version right here that's 16.0.09 something. And you probably have something in here right here that says you have your pending updates, okay? And if you go ahead and update that, you're going to now see what I see here, which is file new sprints. So that question again was I can't see my sprints projects. I see Kanban and Scrum, and that just means you just need to update your software in that case.
So sorry to interrupt. If you wouldn't mind wrapping up in the next couple minutes so people can get to their next session, that would be helpful.
Sure, Cindy, and thanks for jumping in there. Perfect. So we are just about wrapping up here. I did want to leave off on, I do have some questions that people mentioned about seeing and getting the Agile toolkit. So I'll go ahead and just make sure that we're going ahead and show that and where you can get that from. There we go. And I'll go off and share that with us. Perfect. So the toolkit itself, there we go. Sorry about that, folks. Okay, let me just do it this way. Boom. All right, so our toolkit is out there on our site. You can also grab that from the sponsor page. What it has in it has our template. It also gives you the methodology namings, as well as ways to create your Agile projects from scratch. There's my. With PPM Works, who we are and what we do. I don't know what's going on here. But I'm going to just go ahead and share my screen again. There we go. Okay, so folks were asking about that information and where they can see that. You can go ahead and get all of our information by sending it to info@ppmworks.com. That will get you the latest and greatest information for that toolkit. I know folks are jumping on to some different areas, so I did want to make sure that you were able to get onto your different site, but also folks wanted to know some of our other sessions. So I'm going to go ahead and bring that up right now and just go ahead and share that with you. It looks like here they are. Perfect. If there are any more questions, go ahead and get those sent over to us. And here are the next sessions that people are asking about. So we're going off and doing that work management. That's where we're going to get in and actually show you the integration with Project Online as well as the Microsoft Planner. And then we're going to be getting into Let It Flow as well. So,
and Jacques, sorry to interrupt. The conference chair is asking me to end this session, so I definitely want to thank you. This was very informative on Agile, and I really appreciate all of your time putting this together. So I do want to thank you. We'll be ending this session, and I encourage you to fill out the evaluations.
Great. Thanks, Cindy, for having us. And folks, if you have any questions, all the information is up on the screen right now. Have a great rest of the conference.
Thanks so much, and this session was great. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Cindy. Bye now.
Bye.